I'm Joanna Foster, 35, a freelance accountant living in Madison, Wisconsin. I'd spent days carefully selecting presents, each one meaningful, even a custom planner for my sister, who always smirked and called my taste dull. I even baked pecan pies from scratch, the kind my family adored most, arranged them neatly in a gift basket, and felt truly eager for the drive to my family's lavish Christmas party. But just hours before last Christmas, a phone call hit me like a sudden blow. They coldly told me that my presence and my vibe would ruin the party's mood. I didn't argue. I just smiled faintly, swallowed my pride, and said nothing. On the night of the party, when my sister's boyfriend happened to see my photo, he broke up with her instantly. 2 days later, that same sister, the one who had banned me from the event, texted in a desperate tone, "Joanna, please talk to me." Before we dive into today's story, tell me what time it is, where you are, and which city you're watching from. Who knows, we might even be neighbors. The sound of that phone ringing still lingers in my mind, a moment that struck like a verdict. My dad, Roger Young, was on the line. His tone calm yet razor-sharp, like he was reading a sentence. "Joanna, we're serious," he said. "Tara's worked so hard to make this party perfect for her career. Your job, all that accounting stuff, doesn't fit the mood we're going for." My fingers tightened around the phone, my pulse pounding. He didn't hesitate. Tara's new boyfriend, Wade Parker, is a big name in interior design. She's trying to impress him and his circle. You'd make things awkward, throw off the vibe. I stayed silent, jaw clenched. Then my sister, Tara Hayes, a well-known fashion influencer, chimed in. She'd been on speaker the whole time. "Joanna, come on," she said, her tone dripping with that fake sweetness she used for her Instagram followers. "You're always so serious, talking about clients and budgets. You wouldn't have fun anyway. Just skip this one, okay? It's best for everyone." Her voice carried that smug edge like she was doing me a kindness by excluding me. I muttered a shaky "fine" and hung up, my chest tight, like the air had been sucked out of me. I sank onto the couch, their words cutting deep like fresh glass. They didn't just want me gone. They made me feel like a dull outsider spoiling their perfect night. It wasn't new, but this time it burned more sharply. My family had always placed Tara on a pedestal, the golden child who could do no wrong. Growing up, she was their pride, the one they always bragged about. Her dance recital photos sat framed on the mantel. My math trophies were shoved in a drawer. When she was 16 and crashed her first car, my parents called it a learning experience. When I forgot to wash the dishes at 12, I got a full lecture on responsibility. Tara's life was all glitz, photo shoots, sponsorships, trips to LA for fashion shows. Mine was quiet, late nights balancing nonprofit accounts, simple dinners alone, and an empty savings account drained from bailing out my family. Last summer, I paid their overdue $2,000 electric bill before their power got cut. The year before, I covered $5,000 for a new roof after a storm ripped theirs apart. 2 years ago, I paid $800 for a spiked water bill. Once, I even dropped $3,000 to fix their broken car. They never thanked me, never even brought it up. To them, my work was just dull, something to dismiss while they fawned over Tara's newest Instagram milestone. I remembered being 10, sitting at the kitchen table with my homework, hoping my mom, Glenda Young, would notice my perfect report card. But she was too busy swooning over Tara's new cheer routine. "You're going to be a star, honey," she'd say, her eyes shining. If I tried to share something, I'd get a quick, "That's nice, Joanna," before she turned back to Tara. My dad was no better. He'd bragged to neighbors about Tara's creative spark, but couldn't name a single client I'd ever worked for. Once, I left my accounting certificate on the counter, hoping they'd notice. It ended up buried under Tara's fashion magazines. 3 years ago, Tara moved back home after her clothing line collapsed. They turned my old bedroom into her creative studio, filled with fabric swatches and vision boards. I had just landed a big contract managing accounts for 12 nonprofits. I mentioned it at dinner, hoping for a nod, a smile, anything. My mom just said, "That sounds like a lot of work," and shifted straight to Tara's next project. My dad didn't even look up. I stopped sharing after that, but I kept helping, covering their $600 internet bill when it was overdue, paying $2,000 when the pipes burst. They accepted it all without hesitation. But that phone call, it was different. It wasn't just them dismissing me, it was them erasing me completely to protect Tara's glittering image. I could see her in my mind at that party, dazzling and adored, while I sat alone again, invisible in my own family's story. The thought twisted in my gut, sharp and sour. I wasn't furious, just bruised in a way that only stings when pressed. I'd always been the one to clean up their messes, to pay when they fell short. But this time they'd crossed a line. I decided I wouldn't go. Not because they told me not to, but because I couldn't bear another night being their afterthought. I set my phone aside, fighting the urge to call back and argue. I'd spent years being the dependable one, the quiet force holding their world together. But now I was finished. I leaned back, mind humming with a strange calm. I didn't show up at the party, but word reached me soon enough. A friend who'd been there texted the next morning, her message brief but heavy. "Joanna, what happened last night? Your name came up, it got ugly." My heart dropped. I hadn't even been there, yet somehow I'd caused a storm. She didn't know much, only that there'd been shouting, and that Tara's boyfriend, Wade, had left early. I sat on my couch scrolling through Instagram, where the night's glossy highlights had already begun to appear. Tara glowing in a glittering gown, smiling like everything was perfect. But something about it felt wrong. I could sense it. By afternoon, I pieced things together from whispers online and a few more messages from people who'd attended. The party had taken place at my parents' upscale apartment, decked out for Tara's big night. She'd invited her fashion circle, the kind obsessed with likes and brand deals. Wade Parker, her new boyfriend, was the evening's star, a celebrated interior designer known for turning rooms into art. Tara had planned everything to dazzle him, to solidify their relationship, maybe even land a collaboration. My family had gone all in, playing gracious hosts to elevate her image. But it all crumbled. From what I heard, the night started perfectly. Wine, laughter, the usual sparkle, until someone mentioned my name. It wasn't deliberate, just a passing comment during a toast. My dad, Roger Young, lifted his glass and said something like, "To Tara, our shining star, keeping things bright tonight." Someone, probably one of Tara's friends, laughed and joked, "Good thing your sister isn't here to bore us with her spreadsheets." The crowd chuckled, and my mom, Glenda Young, joined in. "Oh, Joanna's sweet, but she's so serious," she said lightly, though her tone cut sharp. "We told her to sit this one out. Keep things lively." That's when Wade froze. He'd been standing by the fireplace, drink in hand, when his eyes landed on a photo on the wall, a family picture from Tara's birthday 5 years ago. I was in it, smiling awkwardly, glasses slipping down my nose. His expression changed instantly, his face draining of color like he'd seen a ghost. Someone asked if he was okay. He didn't answer right away. Then, turning to Tara, he said, "Joanna, that's your sister, right? The one you didn't invite?" His voice was low but carried through the room like a knife. Tara tried to laugh it off, brushing it aside. "Yeah, she's not into parties," she said, waving her hand. "She's all about her boring accounting work." But Wade didn't smile. He set his glass down, his jaw clenched tight. "Boring?" he repeated, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're calling the woman who saved my life boring?" The air shifted instantly, laughter dying in people's throats. My parents exchanged uneasy glances. Tara's confident smile flickered, but she tried to keep her composure. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice cracking slightly. Wade didn't hesitate. He told everyone, the guests, her friends, how I had saved him the summer before last. I'd been auditing finances for a nonprofit project he was designing and uncovered suspicious transfers and false investment entries. It was a money laundering scheme, and Wade had unknowingly signed contracts that could have implicated him. I caught it in time, warned him, and worked with the nonprofit's lawyer to alert the authorities. If I hadn't, he could have lost everything: his business, his savings, even his freedom. Prison had been a real possibility. You didn't invite her, Wade said, voice rising, because you thought she'd ruin your perfect night. He turned to my parents, eyes blazing. You told her not to come, said she'd make it dull. She's the reason I'm standing here, and you treat her like she's nothing. Tara stuttered, searching for words, but Wade was done. He grabbed his coat, looked her straight in the eye, and said, "We're over. I can't be with someone who disrespects a woman like that." Then he walked out, leaving behind stunned silence. By midnight, Wade had posted about it on Instagram. It wasn't long, but it was cutting, measured, precise, and devastating. He wrote about how I'd saved him from a scheme that nearly destroyed his life, how my family had mocked me, kept me away to protect their image. He hadn't mentioned names, but he didn't need to. Tara's followers instantly knew who he meant. The post exploded, shared and liked thousands of times overnight. Comments flooded in, calling out my family's cruelty and praising me for something I'd never planned to make public. I sat there staring at the post on my phone, my heart pounding. I hadn't even gone to the party, hadn't said a word, yet somehow I'd turned their perfect night upside down. For years I'd been invisible to them, the one they brushed aside while worshiping Tara. Now, suddenly someone had noticed me. Really noticed me for who I was and what I'd done. It wasn't revenge. Not exactly. It was the truth finally surfacing, raw, unfiltered, and at the perfect moment. 2 days after Christmas, my phone lit up with Tara's name. I was sitting in my apartment sipping cold coffee, still processing everything I'd learned about the party. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity won. I answered, and her voice came through frantic. Nothing like the polished tone she used online. "Joanna, you have to help me," she said, words tumbling out fast. "Wade's post is everywhere. People are tearing me apart. They're calling me ungrateful, fake. You need to talk to him, make him take it down." I leaned back, my pulse quickening. Not from sympathy, but from disbelief at her nerve. I stayed quiet, letting her ramble. "It's ruining everything," she continued, her voice cracking. "My followers are leaving, brands are backing out. You don't understand how serious this is." I could tell it wasn't remorse, it was fear for her image. I took a slow breath, keeping my voice calm. "Why should I help you, Tara?" I asked. "You didn't want me at your party. You said I'd make it dull." She stumbled, caught off guard. "That's not what I meant," she insisted weakly. "It was just about the vibe. You know, no one wanted to hurt you." Before I could respond, another call flashed on my screen. Aunt Fern Morgan, the one relative who never forgot my birthday. I told Tara I'd call her back, though I wasn't sure I would. Fern's voice was gentle but tense when I picked up. "Joanna, I heard about the party," she said softly. "I wasn't there, but a friend told me everything. They were talking about you, and it wasn't kind." I gripped the phone, my stomach knotting. "What did they say?" I asked, already bracing myself. Fern hesitated, clearly reluctant to add more pain. "They called you boring," she said. "Said your accounting work makes you too serious for their crowd. Your mom, Glenda, told everyone it was better if you didn't come, to keep things light. Your dad, Roger, agreed, saying you'd probably talk about budgets and ruin the mood. They had no idea Wade was listening, or what it would cause." I closed my eyes, the words hitting like blows. I'd known they didn't value me, but hearing it laid out so casually, so cruelly, felt different. I thanked Fern and hung up, my thoughts racing. Tara's call still echoed in my head, her desperation sharp and selfish. She hadn't apologized or owned what they'd done. She just wanted me to clean up her mess, the way I always had, paying their bills, fixing their mistakes, staying unseen. I opened Wade's post again, rereading every line. It was bold, honest, exposing how they'd mocked me and shut me out after I'd saved him from a money laundering scheme that could have destroyed his life. The comments were ruthless, people dragging Tara, my parents, their fake smiles. For once, I wasn't the one ignored. I called Tara back, not out of pity, but because I needed to say it. "I'm not talking to Wade," I said before she could speak. "I'm not fixing this for you. Her voice sharpened, defensive. Joanna, this is serious. My career's at stake. You can't just sit there and do nothing. I laughed, a dry, unfamiliar sound. Do nothing, I said. I've done everything for this family. I paid your bills, fixed your house, kept everyone afloat, and you couldn't even let me in the door for Christmas. She went silent, just for a second. That's not fair, she muttered. We just wanted the party to be perfect. You don't understand how much pressure I'm under. I cut her off. I understand plenty, I said evenly. You made me feel invisible, like my life and work meant nothing. Wade saw the truth. I'm not erasing it for you. I hung up, my hands trembling, but not from anger. For the first time, I felt steady, grounded, like I'd finally drawn a line. I sat there staring at my phone, the weight of it sinking in. Fern's words echoed in my mind. My family laughing, calling me boring, acting like I was a flaw to be hidden away. But WDE's post had flipped the narrative. He'd finally seen me, not the version they'd fabricated, but the real me, the one who'd saved him from losing everything. I wasn't gloating, wasn't celebrating their collapse. I was simply done carrying their burden. They'd built their lives on belittling me, and now that foundation was breaking. I hadn't started the fire, but I sure wasn't going to extinguish it either. A few weeks after that party, there was a knock at my apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I peered through the peephole, and there they were. My dad, Roger Young, my mom, Glenda Young, and Tara, standing together like they were about to stage an intervention. My stomach tightened, but I opened the door anyway, leaning on the frame, arms crossed. They stepped in slowly, their faces a mix of tension and forced resolve. I didn't offer them a seat. I already knew this wasn't a friendly visit. My dad spoke first, his voice firm, as if he were issuing an order. Joanna, we need to talk, he said. This thing with WDE's post, it's gone too far. Tara's getting attacked online. Her reputation's at risk. You need to reach out to him, tell him to take it down. I raised an eyebrow, letting silence hang in the air. Tara jumped in, her voice edged with panic. Joanna, my career's falling apart, she said. People are unfollowing me. Brands are cutting ties. You can't just sit there and let this happen. I looked at her, then at my parents, their eyes locked on me like I was the solution to their chaos. My mom stepped forward, her tone softer but no less pressing. We've always supported you, she said. We raised you, gave you everything. Now it's your turn to help us. Talk to Wade. Fix this. Her words landed like a sting, twisting something deep inside me. Supported me? They'd spent years idolizing Tara, brushing me aside like I didn't exist. I inhaled slowly, keeping my voice steady. Help you? I said. I've been helping you for years. You just never cared to notice. Tara rolled her eyes like I was overreacting. What are you even talking about? She snapped. This isn't about you, it's about my life falling apart. I didn't react. Instead, I walked to my desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a folder I'd saved for a moment like this. It was thick with receipts, bank statements, proof of every dollar I'd funneled into their lives. I laid the papers across the table one by one, like evidence before a jury. This, I said, holding up a receipt, is the $2,000 I paid for your electric bill last summer when your power was about to be cut. I tossed another down. This is $5,000 for the new roof after that storm wrecked your house. I kept going, my tone calm but unwavering. $800 for the water bill when it spiked. $3,000 for your car repair when that old sedan died. $600 for your internet when you fell behind. $2,000 for the plumbing when the pipes burst. They stared, frozen. My dad's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. My mom looked down, fingers twitching nervously. Tara's eyes darted between the papers, her mouth half open like she wanted to argue but couldn't. I've been keeping your world intact, I said, my voice cutting through the room. Every time you came up short, I stepped in. No questions, no thanks. And what did I get? A call telling me I'm too dull to show up for Christmas. Tara tried to speak, her voice trembling. That's not what we meant, she said. We just wanted everything to be perfect. You don't get the pressure I'm under. I raised a hand to stop her. Oh, I get it, I said. You wanted me out of the picture so you could play the star. You mocked me, treated me like nothing while I was paying for your life. And now you want me to clean up your mess? No, I'm done. My dad finally spoke, his tone clipped. Joanna, we're family, he said. You don't turn your back on family. I met his eyes without flinching. Family? I said. You turned your back on me first. You told me not to come. Said I'd ruin your night. You made it clear I didn't belong. So tell me, why should I care about your reputation now? My mom's face crumpled, but she stayed quiet. Tara's eyes flared with anger. You're being selfish, she said. This is bigger than you. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Selfish? I said. I've been anything but. I gave you everything. Money, time, silence. You took it all and gave me nothing but excuses. WDE saw the truth, and now so did everyone else. I wasn't calling him. I wasn't fixing this. The room went quiet, the air thick with their silence. My dad's fists clenched, his face flushed red. My mom turned away, lips pressed tight. Tara stared at me, the confidence gone, replaced by something raw. Panic, maybe even shame. No one spoke another word. My dad was the first to move, heading for the door. My mom followed, her head bowed. Tara lingered a moment longer, as if waiting for me to change my mind. I didn't. She left last, the door clicking shut behind her. I stood there, the folder of receipts still open on the table, my heartbeat steady for the first time in years. They'd come expecting me to save them, like always. But this time I chose myself. A few months after that confrontation, the fallout hit hard. Tara's perfect world began to unravel, and I heard the whispers through friends of friends, bits of gossip trickling across social media. The kind of talk that spreads fast in a small city like Madison. Her big break, a $50,000 ad deal with a major fashion label, fell through. The brand never said why, but everyone knew. UDE's Instagram post, the one exposing how they'd treated me, was still making rounds, reshared by thousands. It painted Tara as shallow and ungrateful, the kind of person who'd humiliate someone who'd once saved her boyfriend's life. No brand wanted that image. Her followers dropped. Her flawless online persona cracked beyond repair. My parents weren't doing any better. Without my help, their finances crumbled. For years, I'd been the glue holding everything together. $2,000 for the electric bill, $5,000 for the roof, $800 for water, $3,000 for car repairs, $600 for internet, $2,000 for plumbing. Those numbers had added up. And when I stopped filling the gaps, the reality hit hard. Madison's cost of living, around $3,000 a month for their lifestyle, was too much without my deposits. They listed their 3-bedroom house, the one they'd lived in for decades. A neighbor told me it sold fast and cheap, just enough to clear their debts. They moved into a smaller rental across town, a downgrade that must have stung their pride. I didn't call, didn't check in. I'd spent years being their safety net, only to be treated like I didn't exist. Then one morning, my phone buzzed. I half expected another desperate message from Tara, another attempt to drag me back into their chaos. Instead, it was a text from Wade. It was short, direct, the kind of message that stays with you. Joanna, he wrote, I never got to thank you properly. You saved me from losing everything, my business, my freedom, all of it. I'm sorry for what your family did. You deserved better. I read it twice, my throat tight. It wasn't just about the money laundering scheme I'd uncovered, the one that could have landed him in prison. It was about being seen. Truly seen, maybe for the first time in years. I didn't respond right away. I sat there, letting the words settle. For so long, I'd been invisible. My dad, Roger Young, always preaching about Tara's potential. My mom, Glenda Young, endlessly praising her online success. And Tara herself, forever the star. WDE's message was brief, but it carried weight. It reminded me of what I'd done, not just for him, but for so many others through my work. Balancing books, saving nonprofits from collapse, keeping things running when no one else could. I'd never needed applause, but I'd always longed for acknowledgement. Wade gave me that, without me asking. After that, I made a choice. I blocked their numbers, my dad's, my mom's, Tara's. I unfollowed Tara on Instagram, muted her stories, stopped checking her updates. I didn't need their excuses and I didn't want their apologies. Not that they'd ever come. I'd wasted too much time hoping they'd see me as more than the quiet one who handled their bills. I was done. I deleted their voicemails, cleared their messages, and let the silence take hold. The first few weeks were strange, like walking into a room I didn't recognize. I'd catch myself wondering if they'd reach out, try to reel me back in. But they didn't. Maybe pride held them back. Or maybe they finally knew I meant what I said. Either way, the quiet felt good, like a weight lifting from my chest. I started sleeping better, no longer waking up to the stress of their next crisis. My apartment felt like mine again, not just a place to worry about their unpaid bills. I took on new clients, nonprofits that actually valued my work. For the first time, I was building something for me. Since that winter, I've had a lot of time to think. Cutting my family off wasn't easy, but it was the first time I felt truly free. For years, I'd carried their burdens, waiting for them to see me, not as the fixer, but as someone who mattered. I'd hoped my dad, Roger Young, would notice my success. That my mom, Glenda Young, would ask about my life. That Tara would treat me as more than a shadow. But they never did. They chose her spotlight every single time. And I let them, believing that's what family was supposed to mean, staying no matter what. That Christmas changed everything. It wasn't just about being told not to come, or the way they brushed me off like I didn't exist. It was realizing I didn't need their approval to know my worth. I'd spent years trying to fit into their world, thinking if I just helped a little more, maybe they'd finally see me. But I was wrong. My worth was never theirs to define. It was mine. Looking back now, I see what I gave up for them. The long nights, the extra clients, the exhaustion from keeping their lives intact. I thought that was love. But love doesn't drain you dry. Love doesn't make you invisible. Sacrificing, staying quiet, hoping they'd finally see me. But love doesn't mean erasing yourself. It doesn't mean letting people trample over you or pretending you don't matter just to keep things calm. I learned that lesson the hard way, but once I did, there was no going back. Sometimes I think about Wade, not because we're close, but because his words stayed with me. He didn't see me as the dull accountant my family made me out to be, but as someone who actually made a difference. When he stood up for me, when he exposed their lies, he gave me something I hadn't felt in years: validation. Not from family, not from obligation, but from someone who owed me nothing. It reminded me that my worth never depended on their approval. It was always there, in my work, in the people I helped, in the life I built for myself. I've changed since then. I stopped checking my phone for their names, stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming. I used to believe family was everything, that no matter what they did, you had to keep holding on. But I was wrong about that too. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is let go. I don't hate them, my dad, my mom, Tara. I just don't need them anymore. I've built a life that's mine, one where I'm not waiting for someone else to tell me I'm enough. My work feels different now. I still balance books, still handle numbers for nonprofits, but now it's more than just a job. It's a choice, a purpose, a way to help people who truly value what I bring. I've taken on new projects, like helping a local shelter get back on its feet, and I've met people who see me for who I am, not who I'm not. My apartment's become a refuge, a place where I can finally breathe. A space free from their expectations, their chaos, their noise. I don't wish them harm. I don't sit around wondering if they're struggling or if they're okay. That's not my weight to carry anymore. I've let go of the need to fix them, to keep their lives from falling apart. They made their choices, and I made mine. For the first time, I'm not living for their approval, or their praise, or their love. I'm living for me, and that's enough. If you're hearing this, I want you to think about your own story. Have you ever felt unseen, like your worth depended on what others thought of you? Have you ever given everything to people who couldn't see your value? I want you to know this. You don't need their validation. Your worth isn't in their hands. It's in how you show up, the work you do, the person you are when nobody's watching. Stand up for yourself. Draw your boundary. Walk away if you must. It's not selfish, it's survival. And it's the first real step toward peace. Share your story in the comments. Tell me about the moment you chose yourself, when you realized you didn't need anyone's permission to know your worth. Let's talk about it. And if this spoke to you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.